It's summer, there's a heat wave, it's apparently really hot everywhere, and things are heating up for the platforming genre as well. That was horrible. Let's talk about 3D platformers. So, the releases in June. I previously had said that there were no releases in June, and some developers wanted to spite me, so they released some games in June. Starting with Sonky's Lagoon, which came out on the 4th of June in early access, developed and published by Coco Dev. This is a game that I've talked about previously, and it was actually supposed to come out a month ago, or 2 months ago, a while ago, and it's finally out in early access. As far as I understand it, this is the entire game, just with a few missing features, and obviously it's going to be a bit buggy here and there. But if you want a game to finish, this one's a good one to go for. It's got 17 reviews with an aggregate of positive, with everyone praising it for its humor and how it feels like it would perfectly fit with the 90s platformers. It seems like the only negatives are things to do with early access, bugs and performance issues and everything, but the game itself seems to be really good. And from what I played in the demo, I can agree with that. If you're waiting for the 1.0 release, it's probably going to come out in August if all things go as expected according to the developer. And then we move all the way to halfway through the month, the 16th of June, with Junkster from Stormcloud Games. This one is a 3D platformer with a building mechanic that I really liked when I played the demo. You'll be able to build things like bridges and vehicles, and it's all packaged in a surprisingly polished product. Now, I haven't played the full game, but from the demo, it looks really good. And the reviews seem to corroborate this with a total of 40 reviews with an aggregate of positive. Everyone's praising the polish and the variety in mechanics, but people are also criticizing the fact that a lot of those mechanics are not explored deeply enough. Still, for the price point, this seems like a great purchase. And then just a few days later, we have Messalia, Echoes of the Past, on the 19th of June by Soul Brothers. As you can probably see, the game's got a pretty strong color scheme. I played the demo a few years back and I found it a bit too early in development, like the animations and everything felt very work in progress. And honestly, the animations don't look amazing even now with the release, but the reviews seem to be good, with an aggregate of positive with 30 reviews. People seem to be praising the art style and the Metroidvania-ness, but they seem to not love the combat, the controls are a bit weird, and that the game's kind of buggy. Still seems to have found its audience, so give it a try if you want. There's a demo out there as well. And let's talk about classics. Starting with a really unexpected announcement, and that's that all the Toy Story games, pretty much all the Toy Story games, are going to be re-released by Digital Eclipse and Atari, and that includes pretty much all the games, both the console games and whatever portable versions they had. And very notably, this also includes the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 version of Toy Story 3, which I believe is a very underrated game. Toy Story in general has a surprisingly great track record of really great games, beyond just Toy Story 2. Up next, we have Donkey Kong 64 recompiled. We've had a bunch of these recompilation projects, and Donkey Kong 64 is the most recent example of this. If you don't know what this means that the game is now available on computers with a bunch of new features such as high frame rate support, widescreen support, mod support, and a whole list of other things. No Jack and Daxter mod section this time, but we have a bunch of new games to talk about. First of all, we have Mega Gum from Endzone, and this one has a very strong and unique art style with animations and voice acting and cutscenes and all of that. Reminds me a bit of Ratchet and Clank, which I am all in for because there's not that many Ratchet and Clank likes, and I again just really love the visual style. I haven't seen a single other 3D platformer with this kind of art style. It's slated to come out early 2027, so we don't have too far to wait, and I am really excited for this one. I love seeing this deep into the genre, more and more new settings and characters and stories come up. I love it. Another new game is actually not a 3D platformer, but it's a 3D platformer adjacent, and it's Super Ukulele Kart. Now, this leaked quite early last month, and everyone was kind of expecting a Diddy Kong racing style racing game, and the game turned out not to be that, and I was among those people who were kind of disappointed at the beginning, but after watching more interviews and more gameplay, I'm actually really excited for this one. While yes, I would have liked a more 3D kart racing game, I'm kind of okay with this. It seems like they actually want to try and make something unique and something that hasn't been done before, and a regular old Diddy Kong racing style game might not have been that. And after Ukulele and The Impossible Lair, which I just finished this past month, which I really enjoyed, and Ukulele this past year, which is also really good, I trust Playtonic with whatever they have up and coming, as long as they do have a 3D platform in development, which I think they do. Next one is also, again, not a 3D platformer per se. It's kind of 3D. It's a 2.5D remake of Rayman Legends called Rayman Legends Retold. And yes, you could argue this is probably a very unnecessary remake of the game. the game, the original game, still holds up fine. The art style is still great and it's still accessible on modern platforms. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think what Ubisoft is doing is they're checking if there's any love for Rayman with a relatively low stakes project with a remake such as this. And then if this does well, maybe they can use whatever assets they've made, them being in 3D, to make whatever the next Rayman game is. And I would love for that to be in 3D. I haven't played any of the Rayman games except for a bit of Origins, but I know their quality and I would love to see more of these legacy platformers come back with style. This one comes out in October, which is not that far. I think I'm still gonna probably play the original before I play this one, but I'm probably gonna play this one maybe as well. It does look visually really good. Speaking of legacy platformers coming back, I am so excited and happy to say that there's a new Spyro game for the first time in almost 2 decades. That's insane. We have Spyro: A Realm Beyond from the developers of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, Toys for Bob, and honestly we don't know too much. We just know there's a massive focus on flight, which I am very iffy about, but I'm gonna hear them out on this. I don't really like the trailer they have. There's like 3 seconds of gameplay. I'm sure there's some reason for that. It just doesn't really show much. It's kind of a useless trailer, to be honest, just to say that the game exists. But I'm not going to complain about new Spyro games, even if they're substantially different. The original games will always exist. And if this is as good as Crash Bandicoot 4 was, then I will like it, as long as they rein in some of their stuff with difficulty in that game. One major disappointment though is that Stuart Copeland, the composer of the first 3 games, in fact the first 4 games, does not return here, and I think that's a huge disappointment, and I hope he has some sort of involvement to the game, because the music is the soul of those games. So let's see. Next up we have Freeline from Piers, and this is a fast-paced Sonic-like platformer where you play as a cat and you go through levels super fast. It's got a grappling hook and a bunch of stuff. Don't have too much to say. It looks pretty cool. Maybe not my style of platformers, but I'm sure there's a bunch of you sickos out there who would love this stuff. Up next we have The Grinch 2 Saving Christmas from Casual Brothers and Outright Games, and this is, I think, self-descriptive. Not really much to say. It looks like a good licensed game, but it does look like a licensed game nevertheless. Honestly, it kind of looks like a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm gonna try it out, but I'm glad this game exists. It comes out 18th of September this year. Weird timing, but hope it does well. Hope we see more of these weird licensed games. Up next we have Ban Ban or Bon Bon Isle Rangers, and this is set in the universe of this apparently very popular and successful universe called Bon Bon, which I have literally never heard of. But after a bunch of horror themed Five Nights at Freddy's likes, this is their first foray into the 3D platformers, and because it's a pre-established universe, I think there's a focus on characters, which I will eat up. I have no idea what this universe is or what these characters are, and I probably won't look into the Five Nights at Freddy's style games, but this has my attention. Finally, we have a game that was announced apparently a while ago, maybe, but the Kickstarter was successfully funded, and this is my first time hearing of it. It's called Spanky Batiswing, and it's a 3D rhythm-based platformer, which is apparently inspired by 1930s cartoons and electro swing music. Just like something like a Hi-Fi Rush, it seems like everything here is timed to the beat of the song, and the visuals are really interesting. I really like the whole weird Cuphead style, but kind of gothic look they have, and thankfully the Kickstarter seems to have been successful, so this game's gonna thankfully come out, and hope it does well. That might be the biggest number of new games we've had in one of these videos, and I guess it is, or it was, E3 season, and I like that we have a bunch of things to look forward to now. I'm excited for a bunch of those games, including the non-3D platformers. And that is not all. We have a bunch of new updates on a bunch of games. We just talked about a game's Kickstarter, and there's a bunch of other Kickstarters, including Ungoland, which is a caveman prehistoric based 3D platformer, and the demo for this came out a while ago, and I actually had a good time with it. It reminded me a lot of PS2 style games, and I mean that in the best way possible. They announced their Kickstarter. It hasn't started yet, but I think they're trying to build up an audience before they started, so trying to spread the word, and I hope this game does get funded as well. And another Kickstarter called Little Miss Dragon is ongoing. It is a 3D platformer with a bunch of 2D sprites set in a fantasy world, and it looks pretty interesting. Unfortunately, it seems to not be trending to hit its goal. It's around 25% of its goal with just a few days left, so I'm not sure how hopeful this is, but I'm hoping the game releases either way. I don't really have a massive audience, so I don't think this video is going to make even a dent in the trajectory of this Kickstarter, but if you want to support a Kickstarter, there thankfully does seem to be a demo out there on itch, so you can give it a shot and see if you like it. Speaking of demos, we have a new demo for Dusk Fade, which is this action-adventure focused Kingdom Hearts inspired-ish game. I tried the demo out for a few minutes. I didn't want to spoil it. It seems like one of those games I want to try out fresh when the full game is out. And thankfully, the release date of this game has been announced, and it's going to come out on August 13th, just over a month from now. Great to see the rest of the year is filling itself out as well. Up next, I don't know how many people actually are going to care about this, but Blue Fire, a really great game from a few years ago, is going to come out on Android. This is a combat-focused, kind of Souls-like Metroidvania combat-focused platformer, and I love the vibes in the game. Played it a few years ago, had a really great time. It's out on Android. If you haven't played it, I guess you have no excuses anymore if you've got a phone that can play games. Up next, we have Gecko Gods Forgotten Cove, which is a small little add-on that's free to Gecko Gods that adds around an hour of gameplay. And I have played a bit of this, and it unfortunately requires you to have collected a lot of the stuff in the game. And while I have collected a lot of the stuff, I have not collected everything, so I can't fully access all the stuff in the DLC. But from what I've played, which is around 5 or 10 minutes, I actually really like what they have, and it seems like more of the game. And I had a really good time with the game, so give the game a shot. I think it flew under a lot of people's radars, but yeah, it's a beautiful, gorgeous experience. Speaking of beautiful and gorgeous experiences, we have actual gameplay of Garfield Escape from Mondays, and actually it surprisingly looks really good. Again, licensed games are back. This alongside Grinch, just random but surprisingly good looking games, and this one looks great. Don't have too much to add, just look at the gameplay. And we have a release date now of September 24th, around the same time as the Grinch game, so if you're a fan of licensed games, then September is the time for you. Up next, we have another demo for a game called Rift Away, which is a Nintendo 64/Nintendo DS inspired 3D platformer where you play as a young witch, and it looks like a nice little cute time. I haven't played the demo, but visually I really like what the game is going for. It doesn't look like any other N64 inspired game. It looks really surreal, and I should actually try the demo, and so should you. And we have a demo as well for a game called Outclaw, where you play as a cat and you accumulate these minions that help you in these combat encounters and everything. It looks pretty cool. Again, there's a demo out if you want to give it a shot. Now, the trailer for this says it's coming out in July 2026. There's no official concrete date, but seems like there's not too much longer to wait for. And finally, we have Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition, which is just an update for the Switch 2 with better resolution and visuals and all of that. There's not too much to say here. I just thought I'd mention it. But let's look at games which have concrete release dates in July. First up, we have Tito from Eat Pant Games. It's coming out on the 15th of July. This has you controlling a blob where you stop some sort of shadow corruption from spreading, and you can actually absorb things and their properties, which is interesting. I remember being really impressed by the polish and production quality on all of this. This is made, I think, by just 2 people, but it looks great. And if you'd like, you can try out the demo. I am really excited to play it. Up next, we have Moss the Forgotten Relic by Polyarch, which comes out the very next day on the 16th of July. This one also had a demo out a few weeks ago, and I played a bit of it, and it doesn't seem like an insanely platformer-heavy game. There is jumping, but it's not really the focus. It's still a great time, and it really seems like the devs have this world figured out, and it really feels like something that's actually thought out, and I really like that, even with the lack of platforming. You know, unpopular opinion, but actually I really don't mind when 3D platformers don't have much platforming, you know? Ratchet & Clank doesn't have that much platforming in it, and I love it, so looking forward to this one. Up next, on the 21st, we have Angel Essence by Gebsoft, I think. And this one does seem to have more of a focus on platforming. It seems like you combine all your moves to cross these large distances. It's kind of like an expressive platformer, I think, from what I can tell. Looks pretty fun, and I'm gonna probably give it a shot. And finally, we have Dodo Ducky on the 23rd of July by Born Monkey and Solo Game. You play as a duck here, and you go through a combination of 2D and 3D levels to save your friends. And I really thought this was just going to be a cutesy game, but actually it looks pretty good. This one also has a demo out, so if you'd like to give it a shot, by all means. But yes, that's actually everything. I thought we wouldn't be getting much the next few months, but actually we have a bunch of announcements that now confirm that we have games for July and August and even September. So I think this year is actually going to end up being the best year for platformers in over a decade and a half. So that's great. What has been your favorite announcements this month? I am excited for both Ukulele Kart and the new Spyro game, though yes, both of them have an asterisk attached to them. I'm just glad we're at a point where we have smaller indie games with new 3D platformers, and we have established series like Spyro and Rayman and even Ukulele with new entries, and it's really a great time for the genre despite the rest of the world being on fire. It's nice to have this little safe space. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.